Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And today I wanted to share with you another quote that I found on Instagram. My last couple videos have been me sharing with you guys quotes that I found on Instagram and reading them and then responding to them. So if you're somebody that follows my Instagram, you'll know what I'm talking about. I post pictures of rescue animals like dogs and squirrels, and then on videos of them, and then I also prairie dogs too, rescue prairie dogs, and then I also post like inspirational quotes that mean something to me. And I think because I have been like sharing more of them and like screenshotting more of them, that the algorithm is showing me more and more and more and more, right? And it's interesting because I like shared one about setting boundaries and toxic people, and now it's like every single one of mine is about like setting boundaries and toxic people and things like that. But I've heard so many good quotes, and I'm actually keeping like a folder in my phone of like all these things to remember when I get kind of off track. You know, I talk over here a lot about tools in the toolbox and having resources to go to. Like I love my like daily affirmations and meditation books. Like those always help ground me. And for me, prayer and meditation is something that really, really helps me, you know, as well as my support system. And hitting the pause button is another one of my tools in my toolbox. You know, it's like when I'm going through something and I want to react to it. We're going to talk about reaction today. And I want to react to it instead of respond. And reaction is where like if somebody hits you, you want to hit them back. Responding is where somebody hits you and you sit and you think about it and like what you really want to say. And then you say to them maybe the next day or an hour later, you know, like when you hit me, like I felt really disrespected. That hurt my feelings. I don't understand. You respond. You make a thoughtful response to it instead of just reacting to it. In the last, I would say 5 to 10 years, I've really the last 2 to 5 years, I've worked a lot on being responsive instead of reactionary, hitting the pause button and stopping myself and being like, okay, you know, maybe you do not want to say this, maybe you don't want to send this text to somebody, whatever. There's a saying that we have in recovery, and that is restraint of pen and tongue. And that means that, you know, of pen and tongue, like you restrain yourself. And I can't tell you how many times, like, you know, I've been talking to my sponsor in the last 29 years where I'll say, like, I'm really upset about this and I want to say this to this person and whatever. Well, let me get to this first. And they'll say, you know, sleep on it, pray on it, think about it overnight, and then tomorrow if you feel the same way, follow through if you feel like you need to, but maybe say it, you know, in a softer way or a way that you would hear it. I always ask myself that, like, how would I hear it? If somebody said something to me or if I needed to address something. The other thing is I will say this, and this is something I've really changed in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years. Well, ever since actually we went to marriage counseling, because it was like a rule that Alex and I made in marriage counseling, and I applied it to all areas of my life. And that was that I don't have serious conversations through text messaging anymore, period, in the story. I mean, like if somebody's going through a hard time or whatever, I'll text them and be like, hey, I'm really sorry that you're going through a hard time. I cannot believe that my battery is dying. Oh my God, my battery's dying, so I gotta go downstairs and get a battery. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. Now I can talk forever because I have a new battery. But what I was saying was, you know, if somebody's going through a hard time, you know, I'll text them something like, hey, like, I hope that you're having an okay day. And because a lot of people don't want to, you know, talk on the phone when they're going through a hard time or whatever. I'll just be like, you know, hey, I'm just checking on you. Is everything okay? Those kinds of things, like I'll text that seriously, or hey, just want to let you know I'm thinking of you, whatever, things like that. But if I'm having an issue with somebody, or we're like having, you know, a little argument or whatever, I don't really have big arguments with people anymore. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But, and definitely not with my husband. Like, I mean, he has texted me that he liked my haircut because he got his haircut right after mine. So when I was leaving, he was like, oh, I love your haircut. So anyway, but like you know, back in the day, like, with my husband and I, we would text things, and I feel like a lot is lost in translation, you know? And so, like, just for example, like, let's say if we were supposed to have dinner, like, tonight, right, with another couple, and I would say, hey, text him and say, do you have any plans tonight? And he'd say, we're having dinner with so-and-so, don't you remember? And I would immediately get defensive, and I'd be like, I don't remember you telling me that. And he'd say, I told you last week. And so, from now on, what we did, or from that point on, what we decided that we were going to do in marriage counseling was that, like, if anything gets, because it can get lost in translation, and I think that happens a lot in comments on YouTube videos and in tweets and things like that. I think so much in DMs, I think so much gets lost in translation. I don't think how we type things out is necessarily how we hear them in our head or how we mean to say them. So, like, this is how that would go today. So, like, if I texted Alex and I said, hey, do you have any plans tonight? He would immediately call me, and he would say, hey, can we talk for a second? I'd be like, yeah. And he'd say, yeah, we're having dinner with the so-and-sos. Do you not remember that? And I'd be like, oh my God, I totally forgot. And he'd say, well, I told you like last Thursday, right? And I'd be like, yeah. And he'd be like, well, can you still do it? Is tonight good? And I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Tonight's good. That would be how the conversation would go, because, you know, and I'm just using that as an example. But back in the day, like, we won't text about that kind of stuff. And that's, like, light stuff. But we don't really ever argue anymore. So, I mean, not every couple argues. But we don't, like... So, anyway, we don't... That was when I started taking that and applying it to all areas of my life, right? So, like, if my feelings were hurt about something... Because I cannot stand when... And this actually don't really have a lot of people in my life that do this. Because the people that I surround myself with are very like-minded. We pick up the phone and we talk to each other, whatever, right? And so, but back in the day, when, if you're somebody out there that, well, if you do it, don't, okay? Pick up the phone and talk to the person. But if you're somebody out there that's received this, and I think most people have, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Is where you, like, go to your phone and you get, like, 4 paragraphs. And it's, like, from something that happened 3 weeks ago that you don't even remember. And it's like, yeah, when we were at this, like, my feelings were really hurt. And then it's, like, just 4 paragraphs about, and then... You don't even really know what to respond. It's like, what's the right thing to respond? And if they texted it to you, it's like, well, they obviously don't want to talk to me on the phone. And I always like, well, back in the day, like I said, I'm not surrounded by people like that anymore, but I would say, like, do you want to talk about this? And, you know, like, they would say something like, well, I'm not really in the place. Okay, so did you just want me to listen to it? I can't respond to it. I can't I don't know what to say, like, because I don't want anything to be misconstrued, you know, in a text message. So I don't do that anymore. Everybody in my life knows, like, if there's a serious conversation that we need to have it on the phone or in person, period, in the story, because so much is lost in translation when you have it in a text message or, you know, things like that. And I often think that that's why, like, when I read comments, like, people say to me, like, why don't you just block people right away? Well, one of the reasons why I don't is, like, sarcasm does not read really well on comments. And so somebody can leave a sarcastic comment and it might read completely different to me, also depending on the kind of day that I'm having, right? And so I'll go in and I'll look at their other comments, and maybe their past 4 comments have been, like, really glowing and nice. I'm like, oh, so this was a joke. This was sarcastic, right? That's why, like, I have to go in and read other people's comments, because, like, their past comments. Because sometimes I don't know. Like, you can't tell from a comment. I'm sure you guys read comments and so you know what I'm talking about. It's like, sometimes you can't really understand what somebody means by their tone in a comment, right? And so, you know, like, my mom taught me years ago. She was like, it's not always what somebody says, it's how they say it. And I was actually just talking to my hairstylist about that today, because we were talking about, like, you know, cussing a lot and whatever. My mom used to say to me, when you cuss a lot, people stop listening to what you're saying. They only listen to how you're saying it. And I think a lot of that is true with text messaging and DMs and things like that, right? And so yeah, like, but typically, I will call somebody up if it's something very, very serious and be like, hey, just wanted you to know, like, I'm really worried about you. I'm here for you. I also think it means more to hear it from somebody's voice. Even if you leave a voicemail message, I think it means more. Even if they're not in a, you know, place to talk because they're going through, you know, a passing, or, you know, somebody's sick or they're sick or whatever. I think, you know, things like that, it means more to hear it from somebody. But anyway, I don't even know how I got to that. So I've been going through, I'll probably come up with it here in a second. I've been going through these quotes and stuff, and I've been saving them in my toolbox. Is that what I was going to say? I've been saving them in my toolbox, my pause button. That's what I was talking about. And I've been going back to them when, like, stuff comes up and I'm, like, not having the greatest day or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to read this, you know, quote today, and maybe it'll help me. So I put this quote up the other day, and it's actually from one of my favorite Instagram accounts, which is called Warrior Goddess Training. I will put it in the comment section below. It is at warrior_goddess_training, and I love this account so much. Has tons and tons of really, really empowering quotes. I think she has a book out and things like that as well, because she's holding a book up in a lot of her pictures. But a lot of her quotes that she puts out, I just absolutely love and I really relate to, and it's been really helpful to me. But I put this one up, and I actually got like 3 or 4 people that responded to me in a direct message and was like, I really needed to hear this, or this really helped me. So I thought I would pick this one today to read to you. So let me read it to you. And then, like I said, I will link her Instagram in the comment section below so you guys can go check it out, okay? And it says, I'm slowly learning that even if I react, it won't change anything. It won't make people suddenly love and respect me. It won't magically change their minds. Sometimes it's better to just let things be. Let people go. Don't fight for closure. Don't ask for explanations. Don't chase answers, and don't expect people to understand where you're coming from. I'm slowly learning that life is better lived when you don't center it on what's happening around you and center it on what's happening inside you instead. Work on yourself and your inner peace, and you'll come to realize that not reacting to every little thing that bothers you is the first ingredient to living a happy and healthy life. And this was so empowering to me because I think I am by nature somebody that is naturally reactionary, which is why I have to work on it so hard and not be reactionary. Instead, really think through, how do I want to respond to this, whatever. And one of the things I'm really learning right now is, do I want to give any energy to this, There was another quote in here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. There was another quote, go to my pictures, that is similar to this about giving energy to things. Hold on a second. This one, tip for today, control how you respond to things sent to destroy your peace. And then this one I love, I'm finally in my it ain't even worth my energy era. And I don't know that I'm 100% there, but I'm getting there, right? Like, one of the things I'm asking myself is, like, is this worth my energy? Is this, like, today, I am so peaceful, I am so serene. Is this worth me taking away my happiness, taking away my peace, taking away my serenity and things like that? Like, is it worth it to me? Like, that, I don't know, that somebody left a stupid flyer in my mailbox or something like that. I'm just making that up. But, like something like that. Is it really worth my energy? I was talking in my vlog last night about, like, I used to, like, script and spiral conversations in my head, and I was using this as an example, like, having to, like, call this person that I actually haven't today. And now it's only 4 o'clock, so it's 4:12. So calling this person to see if they can come out here and mulch our walkway and pick weeds, because I thought if I could have somebody, then they could just come out here once a month and keep it really, really nice. And I'm like, okay, but if they can't do it, then, and back in the day, I would script all this stuff. I would give so much energy to things that just don't even matter. They're either going to come or I'm going to do it myself. It's really not that deep, right? But I would literally spend so much time back in the day. And then, and having to have a conversation with somebody, and I was worried about this conversation, and I would script it in my head and how it was going to go. And it would never, and I can tell you this right now, let's say 97% of the conversations, have you ever scripted a conversation in your head? Like, I need to say this to this person, and this is probably how they're going to respond, and you script it, right? You got all these, things, great things you want to say and whatever, and 97% of the time, I would say, I'll give it 3% that it goes the exact way that I think in my life, my entire life. 3% of the time, it's gone the way that I expected it to. The other 97% of the time, it's never gone the way that I thought it would. Usually things that I think are going to be this, like, deep-heated conversations, the other person's just like, yeah, no problem. Like, okay, I'm glad that you brought it to me. I'm glad that we talked about it, I think we're so afraid to talk to people anymore, like, and just say, like, you mean something to me. Like, I care about you. I love you. This is why this is important to me. I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't. I think we're afraid to say those things to people. I think we hide behind text messages, I think the other thing about this quote about not being reactionary and do I want to give something my time, like, this quote that I read to you about, I'm finally in my it ain't even worth my energy era. Like I said, I'm not there yet. Like, I'm trying to get there. I'm not there 100% yet. But the reason why that quote is so important to me is because I have to really think about what things am I giving my time and energy to, I have a neighbor in our neighborhood, and I adore this neighborhood, but our other neighbor, their dog barks a lot, and she is, like, every time I see her, she's like, oh my God, that dog, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I can remember when the neighbor dog started barking, and I called my friend Tanya, who owns a dog kennel, right? And we're all dog lovers. Even this woman's a dog lover. And I said something to her about, like, somebody complaining about it in the neighborhood, and she goes, dogs bark, that's what they do. And I'll never forget Tanya saying that to me. I was just like, oh my God, it's that simple, right? And every time I talk to this woman, and she's so nice, I even said to her the other day, I said, it's just really not that deep. I know you're frustrated with it. And she goes, you know what, you're right, it really isn't that deep. And she started laughing. But, like, every time I talk to her, it's always about this dog barking, and I'm just like, it just really isn't that deep, you know what I mean? Like, dogs bark, and I know it's annoying and whatever, but do I really want to spend, like, that's where I have to ask myself, do I really want to exert this much energy being ate up with something that is really not that big of a deal in the long run? You know what I mean? Dogs bark. They stopped barking at some point. He was barking, you know, out there when I was filming videos earlier. I didn't stop noticing it. It's done. It's not barking anymore, right? Like, I don't want to consume my days that I am so blessed to even be here to experience with things that just really don't matter. I don't want to give energy to things that are not positive in my life. I want to focus on gratitude and love and kindness and just enjoying the best life that I possibly can, you know, instead of spinning out of control over, am I going to get my walkway cleaned in time or not? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not that deep. And I spent so much time of my life. I've spent so much of my 51 years worrying about things that a week later I couldn't even remember if you had asked me what I was so stressed out about, you know? But at that time, like, it was important. I don't do that anymore. That's why I love this, you know? I'm in, like, it ain't even worth my energy. I need to get to that point, you know, with all of this stuff, with, you know, dogs barking, the front walkway, anything, you know? It's not worth my energy. And I'm really asking myself, that's a good question to ask myself when I'm, you know, in a situation where I'm like, okay, I have to deal with this situation. Is it worth my energy or is it not worth my energy, you know? I will tell you that, and like I said, the last 2 to 5 years I've been really working on, like, not getting stressed out about stuff. When I realized, like, one of the things that's really helped me is, like, I don't love, like, this is going to sound so stupid, right? I don't love getting ready for vacations. I don't like packing. I don't like getting the dog ready. I don't like, you know, getting the house ready. I don't like doing any of that kind of stuff. And so I always say to people, like, when I'm on the plane and we're on our way, like, I'm good. But, you know, recently, the last couple times, I'm just kind of like, you are so blessed to be going on a vacation. You're so blessed to be here, okay, in this world, let alone being able to go on a vacation that a lot of people wouldn't even be able to go on. And you're complaining about the preparation for that. You need to get out of that. Like, the preparation is part of the fun. And it completely changed, right? It completely, and so I look at past experiences, things I used to stress out about, and then I got through them and it really wasn't that stressful anyway. I'm like, oh, well, you stressed out about this. There's no reason to stress out about it, you know? And then it's like, it takes away the energy and the power of it. I'm not going to stress out about things. Life is good today. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful I'm here, and I'm grateful that life is good. And that doesn't mean that things aren't going to come up. But I don't need to give my energy away to things that aren't that deep. I just don't, you know? And so it's a good question to ask ourselves, like, is this something I really want to give my energy to? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.